Can you learn a language in 24 hours? Let's find out. I'm going to conduct an experiment and I'm going to try to learn Danish for 24 hours straight. Why Danish? Because it's, I think, relatively easy. I've never tried to learn Danish before, but as a speaker of English, German, and Dutch, it's a Germanic language, so it shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to try to learn as much as I can in 24 hours straight. I will only stop for meals and small rest periods, like 5 minutes of meditation here and there, because otherwise I'd just stop absorbing information after so many hours, right? But I'll try to learn as much as possible. And this is the plan. This is going to be the approach. So you can see this is Danish, English and Danish. Danish. These are the 20,000 sentences with the translation. You can tell. Well, if you speak German or Dutch, you will probably recognize a lot of this. It looks familiar, but not exactly the same. A lot of things here. Um, well, they're not exactly as easy as I thought they'd be, but they're recognizable. And I think grammar will be relatively easy because Germanic languages, they all kind of like follow the same pattern. And vocabulary will be pretty easy as well. Probably 80% of the vocab is recognizable here. Uh, and for the rest, I'll just use associations. So I will not start with this. What I'll do is start with the language islands. These are my lines, couple thousand sentences here, slightly less than a couple thousand. Everything I want to be able to talk about. And I'll spend most of my time learning this stuff that I want to be able to say. And I will do a lot of shadowing. I already have the audio files ready. Lots of shadowing and lots of retrieval practice. I will not use Anki, I think. I'll just try to, after shadowing it for a while, I'll just read it and where you're from and try to remember. Obviously, I don't know it yet. And I don't even know how to. That's another thing. Pronunciation is probably going to be difficult. But the plan is to do so much shadowing that I'll just learn the pronunciation by sheer repetition and massive exposure, right? So lots of shadowing, lots of retrieval practice with my own lines. Same thing with the grammar sentences. This is just all the grammar. So present, I'm doing, my present continuous, whatever. I don't like using all those terms. Past, future, but this everything. There's lots of sentences. So you learn grammar simply by recognizing patterns. So this I'll just read while listening. This list over and over again. And once I have an idea of how grammar works, which shouldn't be difficult because it's a Germanic language and I speak languages from the same family. Once I have an idea of how grammar works and I recognize most of the vocab, I'll jump to this. And I'll try to, 20,000 sentences in one day is going to be way too much to learn. Um, but I'll try to learn as much as I can out of this. In 20,000 sentences, there are probably 20 to 30,000 words in here. I will not learn the whole thing, but even if I learn half of this, should be a good accomplishment already. So this is for comprehension mostly, and this is for speaking. These are the sentences I want to be able to say well. So I'll do a lot of repetition with this, a lot of repeating them aloud, and this mostly reading while listening and memorizing the unknown vocab. Um, Also, for comprehension, I will listen to native speaker podcasts. I'll just find some podcasts with people talking and listen to it, but I will not just play it and hope to learn by doing that. Obviously, time is limited and valuable. So, what I'll do is every few hours, a couple hours maybe, listen to 3, 4, 5 minutes of podcast to see how much I can understand when I listen to native speakers, and then switch it off back to mass sentences, language islands, lots of shadowing, and then in a couple hours I'll try again with another podcast or another episode, or even the same one, just different, a different part of the conversation, and that's how I'll test my knowledge and how much I understand. So goals, well, goals obviously to be able to understand as much as I can, and to be able to say as much as I can. We'll see. If I learn half of my language islands well, I'll already be able to be conversational, I think. Uh, my prediction is that I will not be fluent. That'd be, I mean, that's very ambitious. But I'll have a decent conversational level, I think. And obviously, spaced repetition is super important. And I'm not getting that if I'm just learning 24 hours. So there's that. So if I just learn 24 hours and then stop and never look at Dutch again, or Danish again, I will probably forget a lot. But after the 24 hours, I'll just keep listening to podcasts and occasionally doing some shadowing to with my language islands to review the language, and that's it. So I will not forget it. Normally, space repetition is important. So even if you're trying to learn a language fast, you should do it in different days, not just cram it all on one day. Although if you are in a rush, you can uh, try to cram as much as possible. Just make sure that you keep reviewing the following days so that you don't forget everything. Um, the second part of the 24 hours, I expect them to be difficult in the sense that I'll be exhausted, and well, the language will have become easier by then, but at the same time, my brain will be fried. So, yeah, I don't expect to remember a lot of what I learned the second half of those, like, of those 24 hours. But luckily, by then, I'll probably understand a lot. And if I keep hammering the same sentences again and again and again for shadowing, and also for the 20,000 sentences, the thing here is that it's basically a verb and it's conjugated in all its forms, and another verb conjugated in all its form. So after seeing 1,000 verbs conjugated in, not 1,000, I won't have the time for that, but 200 verbs conjugated in all their forms, every time I see another one, I'll probably recognize all the forms, all the tenses, and all of that. So the fact that I will be able to understand, I'll be familiarized with all the patterns, all the grammar, and a lot of the vocab. It make everything easier. So my exhaustion levels will go up. Obviously, my ability to concentrate will go down. I'll have to take much more frequent rests. So I do the 10 minutes human man NSDS sessions probably too much because I'll waste a lot of time if I do several of those. So instead, I'll do 2 and 5 minute sessions of yoga nidra and meditation, like mini breaks. Go to the sofa or bed, lay down, meditation, guided meditation, come back, keep learning. If I'm really exhausted, what I'll do is just play the audio files and those for 30 minutes while listening to them, and then come back and keep learning. And that's it. I've never learned. I mean, I've done some crazy stuff when I was failing massively in school, but back in the day, like done like a 6 pack of Red Bull and pull an all night and then failed the exam anyway. But my studying technique was garbage then when I was 20. But now I think because I can manage my energy and my attention way better, and I know what I'm doing, and I use proper learning techniques. Also, speed reading, mnemonics, all this stuff. I think it should work pretty well. Again, fluent in 24 hours? No, I don't think so. But learn enough vocab to be like B1, B2 ish level in terms of comprehension. Probably more than B1 in terms of comprehension. Um, Comprehension should be easy to achieve because it's a familiar language. So speaking, I mean, B1 ish would be good. And then it's just a matter of if you can cram like this, as long as then you get some extra practice. So you listen to it regularly and you do some shadowing once in a while, or talk to someone. You just don't forget it. You keep. I mean, just by listening, you'll remember what you've learned. Uh, but if you also do some shadowing, yeah, your ability to speak will stay. So I will probably not touch Danish after this for a while, but I'll try to do like 20 minutes a day of just listening for like a month. And that's when it'll just, because this will make it stick in my shoulder. It'll store it in my shoulder memory, and then the regular listening to podcast will just make sure that it stays there. Once you've been listening to something regularly for a while and you understand everything, uh, then it just stays, right? This is how you. This is what, I mean, not exactly this, but this is how it works when I say you should front load all the hard work. If you make sure you understand 80, 90, 95% of the language early by just cramming and working super hard and memorizing vocab and doing all the shadowing and all the retrieval practice, enough to understand interesting content and native speaker content, you can get there fast if you work super hard. Then you can coast. The big mistake you can make, that a lot of you make, is uh, just watch videos from the beginning and just hope to learn with that, and you're stuck in this like really slow uh, progress plateau. There's no real progress going. It's just you're stuck there for years and never really get good at it. If you crush it with mnemonics and lots of shadowing in the beginning and retrieval practice and all this good stuff, get all the really hard work and all the frustration and all that out of the way early, and then just enjoy content and conversations later. This is an extreme example, obviously, because it's 24 hours, but you can do it in a few weeks of like really hard work and then just enjoy the language, right? Anyway, let's see how this goes. I'll keep you updated. Well, I'll upload a video in 24 hours.